they may not have addressable RGB with 16.8 million colors and 27 lighting effects, but Noctua's fans are seriously impressive, especially the one that I'm holding right here. In this video, I'm going to talk about why this fan was 4 years in development and what makes it probably the best performing 120mm fan you can buy right now. Before that though, a quick word from MSI for making this trip possible. Game without compromise thanks to MSI and Intel. For a limited time, purchase any selected MSI Intel-based motherboards and gaming desktops and get a free game pack worth up to $180. With titles such as Warhammer Vermintide 2 and X-Morph on offer, you can't go wrong. Check out the description below to learn more. So this is Noctua's new NF-A12 fan that they've been working on for a few years. Now, I'm definitely no expert when it comes to aerodynamics, so I spent quite a bit of time chatting to Noctua about their development process, their testing, what makes this fan different from others. One of the biggest challenges that fan companies face is getting the fan blades as close as possible to the framing without a single point of contact, specifically referred to as tip clearance. Noctua said it's possible to create such a fan like what you see here, but one of the biggest challenges is creating a fan blade that doesn't expand or change, both over the course of many years due to the centrifugal forces when the fan is spinning, and also due to different thermal conditions. If these factors can change the mechanical properties of the fan blade significantly, and by significantly I mean by a few microns, then you won't be able to get away with such a tight distance between the blade and the perimeter like you see with the NF-A12. The reason that closing that gap is so important for airflow is that it prevents airflow leaks through the edges of the perimeter, and that means that they're able to move as much air as possible. So how were Noctua able to achieve such a ridiculously small clearance between the blade edge and the frame? Well, it's with their own liquid crystal polymer material called Sterox, which is also why the fan blade has that distinct texture. They said this material has a much superior dimensional stability when compared to other plastics that you see in fans like ABS or PBT. The Sterox also has a much higher tensile strength than other polymers, which creates a much more rigid fan blade, and this is very important under tough conditions which result in more vibration and in turn noise. So Noctua were pretty keen to show me their demo on display here with two coolers strapped to a plate with the same amount of heat output, which they said was pretty substantial, and both the CPU coolers were able to cool the plate to the same temperature of around 49 degrees C. Now, the big thing here is what cooler and fans are being used and tested against. On the left, we have their flagship NH-D15 cooler, which many of you are familiar with as one of the best coolers out there. That was fitted with two of their 140mm NF-A15 fans. And on the right is their new NH-U12 fitted with two of the new 120mm fans that we looked at earlier, the NF-A12s. Again, the cooling performance is pretty much exactly the same between the two coolers, and it's clear that these NF-A12 fans are something special. I was quick to point out to Noctua that the fan speed for the demo was not normalized between the two coolers, but they said that they were normalizing for acoustic performance, which at the end of the day, people care about most in their builds. Noctua also had some prototypes on display here, and they said they iterated through a few hundred of these to finally arrive at the current design for the new NF-A12. They are currently working on now optimizing the 140mm version, but it's not as easy as just scaling up the 3D model and calling it a day, and likely that will take some time to perfect. And yes, I did ask them about their colors as well, as that's the burning question in everyone's minds. They said that beside the fact that it's their signature color scheme that they'd like to stick to, just making different color fans is not a simple process, and that their new Sterox material is sensitive to different pigments from a structural standpoint. They do have their Redux line though that most of you are probably familiar with, and they said that these traditionally run about 5 degrees warmer depending on the load, and that seems pretty in line with my recent testing. All black options are also available for some coolers in their new Chromax line. Now behind their desk, they also had a desk fan prototype on display which had some pretty advanced aerodynamics going on, and this is something that they are working on developing into a final product. So, where other fan companies are filing patents for different lighting effects, Noctua is sticking to the basics of what makes a great fan, and oddly enough, that means good airflow. You can buy the NF-A12 now, as they have been available for a few weeks now I believe, and you can find a link down below in the description if you'd like to check that out. I do plan on grabbing a few of these when I land back home and doing some temperature and noise testing against a few other fans, as I'm pretty interested to see what the real world results are in a system, so definitely subscribe if you want to see that. As always guys, a huge thanks for watching and keeping up with all of the videos here. And up next, we'll be looking at the new Chimera Mac 1 from SFF Lab, which I had the pleasure of checking out this afternoon. If you like small form factor cases, this is definitely something you don't want to miss. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will see you all in the next one.